It was a typically beautiful South Carolina fall in 1860 when storm clouds of dissension began gathering. Tension between the southern states and the federal government was mounting, and talk of secession was increasing. Then on December 20th, 1860, the governor of South Carolina declared the state no longer a part of the Union. The winds of war gathered force. On April 13, 1861, the newly formed Confederate government ordered the dashing Creole general P.G.T. Beauregard to capture Fort Sumter. It provided a key defense for Charleston Harbor. After heavy bombardment, the small Union force manning the fort surrendered. The Civil War was upon the nation. Additional southern states seceded. President Lincoln issued a proclamation of embargo against all southern ports, including Charleston Harbor. By the fall of 1863, victories at Gettysburg and Vicksburg moved the Union armies closer to Charleston. By the winter of 1863, the city of Charleston, the last major port available to supply the Confederate cause, was under constant siege from Union armies and naval warships. Yet Charleston would not surrender. Could anything break the naval blockade, save Charleston, and give hope to the Confederacy? In early 1862 in New Orleans, engineers James McClintock and Baxter Watson, along with Horace Hunley, a lawyer and wealthy plantation owner, developed and tested the first of 3 submersible boats, the Pioneer. The vessel was scuttled as the city fell to the Union, for fear that it might fall into enemy hands. The 3 moved to Mobile, Alabama, where they were joined by Confederate Army officer Lieutenant George Dixon. At the Park and Lyons machine shop in Mobile, work was begun on a second boat, the American Diver, which foundered in rough seas during testing. The third boat, later to be known as the H.L. Hunley, was an ingenious submersible weapon. Their brainchild was a stealth 40-foot submarine, tapered at both ends. About 4 feet high and 3.5 feet wide, she was hand-powered and could charge through the water at 4 knots, driving a torpedo ahead or dragging a mine behind. The crew squeezed through 2 tiny hatches. When submerged, their only air supply was sealed inside with them. A candle provided light. It was sort of a canary in a coal mine for captain and crew. When the candle died, they knew their oxygen was almost depleted. She submerged by taking water into 2 ballast tanks and rose by pumping it out. The captain steered with limited visibility, using the viewports on the forward conning tower and a compass, which was notoriously unreliable in the iron hull. The Hunley, which was both elegant and innovative, an embodiment of the Confederacy's desperate resolve, a resolve that would soon be put to the test. In August 1863, General Beauregard requisitioned the submersible for the city of Charleston. Trials now began, but were plagued with tragedy. The first accident took 5 lives. The second saw the loss of the entire crew of 8, including Horace Hunley, the submarine's namesake. General Beauregard called an end to the trials, saying of the vessel, Lieutenant Dixon pleaded the cause for renewed trials. It was his belief that the Hunley could foil the blockade and bring relief to the city of Charleston. General Beauregard relented, gave Dixon command, and in December of 1863 ordered the Hunley battle ready. Dixon set up a feverish training schedule for the new crew of submariners. As luck would have it, a new inviting target would present itself, the USS Housatonic, a major warship whose mission was to destroy or bring to ground blockade runners. The Housatonic had been informed by Confederate deserters of the submarine and had weighed anchor in shallow water just 3 miles from the H.L. Hunley base, hoping the shallow water would prove unmanageable for the submersible. On a clear, calm, moonlit night of February 17, 1864, Dixon assembled his crew and gave the final orders. The men squeezed through the sub's narrow hatches, took their positions in the cramped confines of the submarine, and set out on their historical mission. Eight men who embodied the courage, fortitude, and devotion to duty that characterized both sides of the tragic conflict that was the Civil War. As they closed on the USS Housatonic, the sub surfaced for a last reading. They were then in position to attack.